is Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast where every week we get into a different band, different artist, and we break down one of their records. We get into the music, the lyrics, how it was made, our work, and everything in between. My name is Tyler, and way out there, hundreds of miles away, is Jeff. While you're listening, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars on all the social medias at Asinine Radio. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that subscribe button, tell all your friends, share all the posts. We're on Reddit too, Asinine Radio. Find us on Reddit at Asinine Radio. Anyway, let's get into this. What are we doing today, Jeff? Go.
We're doing Johnny Cash live at Folsom Prison.
The Johnny Cashes. This performance was done in 1968. Did 2 performances of it at 9:40 a.m. and 12:40 p.m.
Dude, like 3 hours later, let's do it again.
It's so weird. I mean, just to do it all in the same day, to the point where like the band was exhausted. Well, we'll get into that. Anyway, I'm jumping really jumping
ahead. You relax, calma.
It's been an exciting night with the Copa America.
It has been an exciting night. I keep refreshing the phone because I want to see the craziness in Miami.
And also, it started so late, so we're potting like 3-4 hours later than we normally do on Sunday nights.
I think I really just want to see people having a really good time. Like I like to watch, especially when like the World Cup finishes and whatever team won. I like to see their fans having a really good time. It makes me feel good.
Like watching all the celebrations, you know, you see like everybody throws their beer up around, you know, it's good.
Wedding Crasher style.
Yeah. Anyway, we're doing Johnny Cash. God, how are we, you know, doing so much already? So Johnny Cash, let's get into our origin story of the Johnny Cashes. So what do you got? Go.
I mean, like this is one of those artists, right? That I don't. Dude, we've heard these songs so many times, and it probably was Ring of Fire because Social D did a cover of Ring of Fire that I liked, and I remember downloading that song on Kazaa, and in doing so, I downloaded the Johnny Cash Ring of Fire, and I was like, this doesn't sound like Social D, because I thought like it's Social D back then. But that was probably like my introduction. But I'd heard Johnny Cash before that because like who the fuck hasn't? Like it's everywhere, and he was everywhere. And every country comp, and like your mom listened to country, my mom listened to some country, so she had country comps, and some Johnny Cash song was always on whatever country comp that Columbia House Center.
Mm-hmm.
Always, there's always a Johnny Cash song on there.
Yeah, I mean, my mom she never listened to Johnny Cash. It just my mom likes and only liked pop country. That's all she listened to at that time. So Johnny Cash was too weird for her. But my dad really liked Johnny Cash, which is weird because my dad he never really listens to music. So he was always the talk radio guy. But Johnny Cash, he bought it. I remember he bought a Johnny Cash Greatest Hits when I was like in 4th grade, and he listened to it all the time in the car. We would always listen to that. If we weren't listening to talk radio, that was one of the few CDs we listened to of music that he liked. And so I remember vividly listening to Johnny Cash a lot as a kid, but didn't really get into him a whole lot until high school. And then I kind of like dove into really live at Folsom. But yeah, I don't know. That's my origin story. I didn't grow up on it too much, but I don't know. What do you got? So what do you got for your first impressions of the album of the week, live at Folsom Prison?
Yeah, it's Johnny Cash. He's a part of like American history. He's always been there, and we're not like old. And so as far back as I can remember, like Johnny Cash has always been there. And it's like, fuck, man. Every time you hear like a greatest hits or whatever, it's like every fucking song. It's like, oh yeah, I know the song. Oh yeah, I know the song. Oh yeah, I know the song.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Like every fucking song that he did was like a greatest hits, whatever. But Live at Folsom, this was a great album. This is a fantastic album until I heard like the Legacy Edition. I think we did this in the pod before, like in the lost episodes.
Yeah,
that was the first time. That was the first time that I heard like the Legacy Edition, and the Legacy Edition is it's literally an uncut recording from beginning to end of their performance. And that's when I was like, holy fuck, this is amazing. This is like so much better than everything that I thought, because you get to hear more crowd interactions. There are way more songs. Like Carl Perkins does his Blue Suede Shoes. And it's just cool. It's an absolutely amazing performance. And it's 2 nights or two different shows. So you get both of the shows, and you can definitely tell by the second show they're tired. because the first show is where it's at. But like this is something else. And I think like as a kid, as a younger adult, I guess I shouldn't say kid, probably like in post like 13 years old. I thought like, oh, that's cool. He played at a prison. That's fucking dope, man. That's awesome. And then you kind of like think like I like now like with adult eyes. Oh, heard a beer open there, dude. With adult eyes and ears, you look at this and you think like, oh, that is a cool thing that he played at a prison, but it's more than that, because I mean I have so many notes on just him and prison reform and him just like hating against the establishment any way he possibly could in every way, shape, and form. It's just this is an incredible performance.
Which is funny too, because like he befriended like every president that he was alive. That he was alive knowing, you know what I mean? Like Nixon, Reagan, like even to the point where the night before
Carter.
Yeah, and Carter, but the night before that they played the show, at the time Ronald Reagan was the governor of California, and he actually went to the hotel where they were rehearsing and staying, and like he hung out with Johnny Cash the night before. It's like he was like hanging out with them all the time throughout the years.
That was the key word you said. Is like he had a relationship with presidents, right?
Yeah, it wasn't
so
just
like
one.
Presidents, like you think like 4 years for a president, right? So maybe one, maybe two. It was like 4. That's like 16 years of an illustrious career where he was like buddy rubbing elbows with presidents.
And the most ironic one was his relationship with Richard Nixon, because Nixon was all about, you know, the anti-drug stuff, but fucking Johnny Cash was a huge fucking addict. Huge addict. So
multiple times.
Yeah. So I thought that one was always funny too. But where were we at?
I think this week I really gravitated towards like Johnny Cash as like an activist.
Okay.
More than a musician, if anything else. I put it next to the fucking microphone.
I know. I watched you do it.
You watched me do it, so
I watched you do it.
Fucking surprised that it was loud. This week I focused more on like the activism, because I mean realistically these are fucking folk country songs, and there's not a whole lot of depth here, and they're superficial, catchy as fuck, but there's not a lot of depth to them. But his life has been interesting.
So at least for me, I only took notes for the original run, or the original pressing of this album. Yeah. So the 16 songs. I mean, obviously we're going to talk about both performances, but you know, when it comes to the main hub of it all, it's going to be the 16 songs that were on the original record, not all the legacy edition stuff. And out of those 16 songs, he's only credited as a writer on 5 of them. Four of them he's a sole writer. The 5th one, it's him and his nephew. But otherwise, yeah, most of the album is covers. But who cares, man?
To be honest, like to be credited for 5 of those songs, that's a lot. Considering these are like essentially like folk songs, folk Americana songs. Like Bob Dylan has many records where it's just 100% covers. Like a lot of artists have records that are just 100% covers.
Look at Elvis. He built almost his
whole career on 100% cover songs.
Yes, I know. Fucking Elvis, man. It's so overrated. So many ways. But
musically overrated.
What he did for rock and roll, of course, is very, very significant.
He's the GOAT, dude. He's the GOAT.
Yeah, music wise,
overrated as fuck.
Yeah, that's what. As an actor too, his acting, something. He was just a good-looking guy. That's what it came down to. He was just a good-looking guy. But
it's funny too, because like you look back on Elvis in his like heyday, and he's not like a stunningly good-looking guy. And by today's standards, he would be like your what's the fucking Captain America guy's name, or fucking
not Hemsworth. What?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say Thor, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Chris Pine, all these guys, they all look the fucking same.
Yes.
And also Chris Pratt. There's the other one too. Those 4 fucking Chris's all look thus. They could be brothers.
Maybe not Chris Pratt. I wouldn't throw him in there.
He kind of gets chunky and smaller in some roles, but like, dude, they all look the fucking same. And like,
talk about an actor I don't care about, man. I do not care about Chris Pratt. Yeah, I don't get people. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't think he's very funny. I think he's just a okay actor. He's in okay movies and TV shows. I just don't care about Chris Pratt. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, he's an actor that is he's like a he has like the Seinfeld syndrome. Like he has to be with other people that are great to make him better. Like he'll
Yeah,
never
yeah,
be able
that's
to hold
true.
a movie on his own. He's just not. The Jurassic Park movies, fucking hate them. Absolutely hate them.
I only saw the first one, that first Jurassic
Oh,
World.
dude,
It's
it's
stupid.
rough. It's
It's not very
rough.
good. It's not very good.
But when he's surrounded by other people that are funny, it makes him his like comedy a little bit funnier. Like Jerry Seinfeld, right? Like he's not great on his own, but you put him with other people that are funny, he's solid. It's
Fantastic.
fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. That's Chris Pratt. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Overrated. Yeah.
Elvis, he's just I wouldn't
Yeah.
say he was good looking. He was just
He was
looking.
just he was one of those guys who has a very unique look that you just can't help but kind of think, eh, not that
he
he's,
shook
I don't
them
know.
hips.
He's just he's a very unique, he was a very unique looking person. Nobody looked like Elvis. Even to this day, like nobody looks like Elvis. He's just a weird looking guy that girls loved. Dudes too, I'm sure. But anyway, back to Johnny Cash. We're talking about Johnny Cash. We're not doing Elvis today. That's for the future, dude. Walt.
We probably should at some point.
I know we've never done. Have we done Elvis?
No.
No. Okay. Anyway,
No.
Johnny Cash, live at Folsom. This one, let's see. Oh, so a little bit of background with this live record. You know, in the late 50s, early 60s, he was very successful. The songs he did with June Carter, you know, all that kind of stuff was very, very popular. Mid 60s, late 60s, you know, he wasn't writing as many hits. He was kind of on a downward spiral with the drugs and all that kind of stuff. And at that time, he was signed with Capitol Records. They changed management. They changed a bunch of executives out, and he kind of took a chance and brought this idea to, I forgot the guy's name at Capitol.
Bob Johnston.
There you go, Bob Johnston. He brought the idea. I want to record a live record at a prison, which, you know, he'd already played at prisons before. Like I think the earliest performance was like 1958. I think he played at Folsom first. He played at San Quentin and a couple other, like in the South, a couple other prisons in the South. But yeah, he brought this idea to Brian Johnston, or was it Brian Johnston? Is that what you said?
Bob Johnston.
Bob Johnston. Brian Johnson is AC/DC, dude. Yeah, Bob Johnson, and he thought it was a great idea. They recorded it, like you said, or we said, 2 performances, and then this ends up becoming the best selling record of the year of 1968, beating the Beatles. Like this sold more records than the Beatles that year in 1968. Crazy shit, right?
That's something.
It's fucking nuts. A live record too, for that matter. A live record.
I think it's also like worth noting too, even though I don't care for the Beatles that much, but it's like the barometer to test like how successful something is it outsold the Beatles. And then like, oh yeah, okay, that's how good it was. Okay, I gotcha. Like that's how good the Beatles were, right?
Yeah. Or like when it comes to venues, well, they played like, you know, what is it, Madison? They sold out Madison Square Garden, and then all of a sudden another artist does it, and like they beat the Beatles' record of selling out Madison Square Garden. Or was it like what was that big one with Grand Funk?
First of all, it was Grand Funk.
Grand
Funk,
Funk,
Shea Stadium.
Okay, that's what it was. That was the point I was getting to, was that Grand Funk, like of all the bands you would think of, like you wouldn't think of Grand Funk as
band
breaking a
fucking
Beatles
rips,
record.
dude. They were rock.
So good.
But yeah, it's just funny that like to tell how successful something is in history. We say things like, oh, they outsold the Beatles, and then we know, like rather than say, oh, they sold X amount of units per year or whatever, you just say, oh, they beat the Beatles. Like, oh, damn, oh wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But that just shows you like how fucking historic and iconic and legendary the Beatles were. Unfortunately.
Okay, all right. Where are we at? You threw me off here, but yeah. So they recorded this live record, and yeah, it was wildly successful. And another thing about this record that I've always thought was really, really cool is that it's not a greatest hits live record. Like most live records, he's gonna play all of his fucking hits, but here he played some traditional stuff. He didn't play. I mean, the only really big song that we all know that you see on all the compilations is Folsom Prison Blues, but you know, other than that, like there's no other big hit that everybody knows on this record, which is super cool too. I love that. I fucking love that.
Yeah, I mean, also like, you know, this is like his fucking 20th album at this point, so
yeah,
it's like fuck, dude.
Which is a reason why we didn't do an albums rankings this week, because where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? Like
it would have to be like by decade.
Yeah,
but
we
even
would have
then,
to
like fuck, man.
just in the 50s and 60s, he put out like 30 records or 25 records or something like that.
That's too
And
much.
in his entire career, he put out like 100 records. So I don't know. Yeah, so that's why there's no rankings.
Who do you think you are? Omar? Buckethead?
Yeah, right. Honestly, though, there are some other Johnny Cash. I almost said Johnny Smith, Johnny Cash records that I would like to do on the pod, but yeah, we're doing Folsom. But let's before we dive into any more of the background of it, let's get into some. Do we have any stinkers on this one?
No stinkers.
Yeah, no stinkers either. Bangers. We got any bangers?
I have 10 like true blue bangers.
I have seven true blue bangers. I mean, every song is fantastic and great. Like not even just like a okay song. Everything is fucking great, but there are 7 absolute bangers on here. So that's what I got.
7 out of 16. So let's see. Let's just quickly go from bottom to top. What are not bangers? Is Greystone Chapel a banger?
That is not a banger.
Okay. Well, I do want to talk about that one.
I do too.
What about Green Grass? Is that a banger?
No, it's not.
That's not a banger for me. So I'll highlight that one red so we can just skip that one.
Honestly, a lot of the later songs are not bangers for me.
What
Great,
about
but not bangers.
Give My Love to Rose?
No, not a banger.
Not a banger. That's fine. What about Flushed from the Bathroom?
No. It's fun. It's a fun novelty song, but it's not a banger.
I'm just kind of going through stuff because I have so many fucking notes. This is like the Say Anything episode over again. I have so many fucking notes. So I just kind of don't want to waste my time talking about things.
I agree.
What about Send a Picture of Mother and The Long Black Veil?
No. Long Black Veil is, but Send a Picture of My Mother is not.
Gotcha.
And I do want to talk about The Long Black Veil. I do want to talk about that one.
And then what about Dark as the Dungeon?
That is a banger.
Okay. So those are all the non-bangers that I have. So
okay,
so only cut out half of those at least.
Okay. So let's get into your 1B, your number one banger. What do you got?
I mean, this should be your 1B also, just because how fucking cool it is how electric it is, how I get goosebumps when I hear it. But Folsom Prison Blues, the opener, it is just like, that's so stupid. Like, come on, man. Like, that may be one of the greatest openers of all, like any live album that has ever existed. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. Boom, 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 boom. What?
It has no right being that good. Yeah, it's my 1B as well.
God damn, it's so cool. I love the way this fucking starts out. It's just like, then the whole Legacy edition, you get more background from this one, and it's fun to hear the announcer like talk to the inmates, and he asks the inmates, and he's like, hey, like, basically shut the fuck up until Johnny Cash actually comes out and says, hello, I'm Johnny Cash. Don't say a goddamn word because we're recording this. And the prisoners, they oblige. And the more I read about the prisoners too, the more I realized like they're not being respectful. They're fearful of their warden. So, but it's just really cool. It's really cool.
There's one part of the record too where I think it was I think it's the very end of the album. Johnny Cash says something about one of the lieutenants or whatever, and everybody starts booing. And I thought, oh man, dude, they're fucked. They're fucked.
Yep.
Just for booing. But yeah, Folsom Prison Blues. I mean, it's a perfect opener, a perfect song. Just on Spotify, it has over 250 million streams just on Spotify, and that's crazy, man. That is crazy.
It's just it's so simple, right? And like the whole story of him introducing himself as Johnny Cash, and like he's just he's a good old boy. He's a good old boy from Arkansas. It's like Bill Clinton. So he introduces himself. That's what his mama told him. So they introduce yourself to people first. That's what he does, and he's a very wholesome kind of guy. Like the way he sings, the way he goes about himself, like the way he deals with his relationships. It's a very kind of like wholesome kind of guy, kind of shitty, but like very also wholesome. You can't like knock him really, because I know. Like dude just following his heart constantly.
Nice. He just seems like such a nice guy. Like he just seems so polite. Like when you hear him on interviews, when you hear him on like the banter between the songs, he just seems so kind, so polite. And I think that it's so cool. Also, real quick, just a quick little side note tangent. Tim Conway Jr., the son of famous comedian Tim Conway. Tim Conway Jr. has a radio show here in LA called the Tim Conway Jr. Show. It's been on for fucking decades now. But
you shut up.
A couple weeks ago, he was talking about a story. He used to be a limo driver back in the 80s, like early 80s. and he talked about somebody that because he would when he was a limo driver, he would drive somebody around for like 2 or 3 days, like a celebrity around for like 2 or 3 days or a week or something like that. So he'd be on call, and he said in the early '80s he was the limo driver for Johnny Cash in L.A. And he said that Johnny Cash was so nice to him, like he was so kind to him that just in every which way. So when he picked him up from the airport, Johnny refused to sit in the back seat. He wanted to sit in the front because he thought he just felt weird about being in the back seat by himself. So he hung out with Tim Conway in the front seat. They just talked the whole time, dropped him off at his hotel. And he's like, you know what? Just, I won't need you till tomorrow morning. Just come pick me up at this time. I'm good. Just go home, have fun, go do what you need to do. And he talked about like how Johnny Cash wanted to go to like a gas station and pick up like a snack. And they went to the gas station, and then Johnny got out and started walking, and he turned around really quick and he came back and he's like, you want anything? You want me to grab you anything? I don't mind. Whatever you want. And just things like that. And then he's like, and then he said, oh, can you please go pick up my wife, June Carter, from the airport? I would really appreciate it. And Tim's like, this is my job. This is what I'm getting paid to do. It's totally fine. And he's like, are you sure? I just don't want to impose on you or whatever. It's just like the Southern like hospitality. And he just sang his praises about Johnny Cash and how kind of a person he was in the early '80s. And this is like after his prime, after he was like on the downward slope at that point in his career.
He had like 3 primes, dude. Like Johnny Cash is a guy that has had like 3 resurgences.
Yeah. That's true. He has peaked, like huge peaks and valleys throughout his career. Absolutely. But like anyway, I thought that was
most people would, given his like backstory and the amount of drugs and alcohol he consumed.
I know the stories are crazy, fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, Folsom Prison Blues. That's the best song on the record. That kind of shuffling, chugging train kind of sound that he's doing with the
boom chicka boom, yeah. Boom chicka boom chicka boom chicka boom. That's the Luther Perkins sound, dude.
It's good.
Boom, 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 boom. So good. Yeah, dude, yeah. Fucking fantastic guitarist, right? Like a guy that just like knows his way around the guitar, knows how to like hush things, and you know the whole like palm mutes, the low strings to kind of deaden like the low bassy sound. That way, what's the bass player's name? I forgot the bass player's name. Who cares about bass players anyway? So it's kind of like deaden the strings, so that the bass player can like have more time to be like more aggressive. And then Johnny Cash, because they didn't have a drummer at the time, it was just a Tennessee 2 and then Tennessee 3. And they got a drummer eventually, but like Johnny Cash had like a card underneath the strings, and he would just kind of like do that thing. Yeah. So this entire sound, this entire like walking sound, was kind of like Luther Perkins, and that's what makes this like guitar part so damn good.
Yeah, and also you know when the electric guitar does comes in pretty hot, like not like Buck Owens hot, but it's there. There's some good little solos, some good little leads. But once again, he plays to the song. He doesn't try to show off. You know, the songs aren't centered around the guitar playing. It's centered around Johnny and how he sings, how he expresses himself. And I love that. I love like everybody knows their place in the band. Everybody knows their place in the songs. Fantastic. Fucking fantastic.
It truly is wild because like this is like Woodstock era stuff. This is where people are experimenting with guitar tones, and you know, like we have Hendrix now who is like revolutionizing like rock music and guitar playing in general. And then here it's just a guy who's playing the most basic of fucking like folk based Western tunes, like the most stupid of fucking songs. But we don't care because we love Johnny. We like the way you sing it. I don't care what you're saying. I like the way you say it. And that's what made Johnny Cash so successful over the course of 40, 50 years.
I know.
40 years. Yeah,
more than
like
that.
40, 50 years.
Yeah, I'd say like 45. Yeah, 45, 50 years.
That's crazy. That's like a person's fucking life, dude. That's insane. Like Johnny Cash was just such an endearing character. Then you throw June in there, like oh my god, it's America's couple right there. Like seriously, good god,
Lord. Dude, and like because you and I watched the Walk the Line movie this week, yesterday actually. We both watched it yesterday. Yeah. But you know, even with that movie and everything I've seen and read outside of that movie, dude, they were so in love with each other. Like they were seriously, like when it comes to soulmates, like they are the definition of that. Like everything you've seen about them. The movie kind of makes him seem like a douchebag idiot. Because
I definitely think he is a douchebag idiot, but I think he's a very endearing douchebag idiot who really only tries to do good but ends up doing bad things along the way. Because it's just like, dude, he had a lot of kids already, and he was already
Yeah.
in a previous marriage, and he wrote that song "I Walk the Line" as like a testament to like, I'm gonna be true to you, baby. I'm never gonna cheat on you, and then fucking does constantly.
And
But I don't
abandons his
think,
kids and shit. Like, come on.
man, I just don't think I refuse to believe that he did these things with like malicious intent. I think he truly just followed his heart, and if that's where his heart like led him to, and it led him to June, that's just it's the way she goes, man. Just the way she goes, and it sucks. But I do think this is a guy that like truly that carpe diem type thing, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm in love with who I'm in love with. I'm gonna fucking do it, and I'm sorry to everybody else, but you have to deal with it.
I like that. I do appreciate that sort of honesty. But yeah, I mean, he has come off as a douche or an asshole at times.
And
But
then like watching
even though we like we literally 10 minutes ago were praising him for seeming like such a polite and nice guy, but I don't know.
I mean, you can still be like a
conflicted.
polite,
I'm
nice guy
conflicted.
and shoot from the hip type of thing, but like still be a dick. And like, dude, the guy was a dick. Like abused like drugs, abused alcohol, fucking
Yeah,
abused like
hardcore.
his women, and was kind of a shitty parent and a shitty bandmate and embezzled money. Like you can still make mistakes, but still be a lovable, likable, kind of a good dude.
A
And
Tony
I think like
Soprano of sorts.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like God, why? Dude, oh, I didn't want to get into that because sometimes I just feel gross loving Tony Soprano so
I
much.
know.
It's like, why do I love you? You're a fucking asshole.
Tommy Shelby from
Oh, the
Peaky
first
Blinders
couple
too.
seasons, yeah,
Yeah,
Peaky Blinders for
like
sure.
you can't help but like Tommy Shelby, but
God,
he's a terrible
lovable
person.
anti-heroes. I just, yeah,
Yeah.
that's Johnny Cash. I think because Johnny Cash spent so many decades, not years, but like decades, being an advocate for various rights, like Native
Yeah,
American rights, for prison
especially Native
reform,
American.
and it's just, it's that's why you love Johnny Cash.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of the Native American thing, so like he was obviously very very much an activist for Native Americans, which is fucking great. But he always claimed that he was part Cherokee because that's what his grandmother told him, and this and that.
It was not.
He was not. His daughter did a DNA test back in 2021, and it came back that they have no Native American blood.
Nothing.
Zero. They have actually African,
Yeah.
ancestors, but when it comes to Native American, nothing. So it was all the grandma was just bullshitting for the whole family.
But I don't think I mean that is funny. And but like that was like, I mean, well before it was cool, right? To
Yeah,
claim
yeah.
like ancestry or whatever. So she could have just been like clearly mistaken, and I get that. People are just dumber decades prior to the current
Yeah.
generation anyway.
That's
But
true.
what really got me like I said, I really dove into it's like the whole Folsom Prison Blues song kind of leads into it all, but the whole like prison reform and how aggressive he was with like prison reform and how bad like prisons were in the fucking 60s and 70s, specifically like Arkansas, like where he's from. Arkansas was like the worst prison in America. It was
Was it?
fucking terrible. Like it was so bad that the governor, no, not even the governor, like some like Capitol Hill legislature like essentially took over the entirety of all the prisons in Arkansas and said, you know what, dude, we're just starting over, starting from the ground up. Like it was so fucking bad.
Really?
Like they had like inmates running other inmates as like duties, right? So like I'm an inmate, I'm in here for murder, whatever the fuck it is, and I have a team of 10 other inmates that I'm in charge of, and I'm gonna make sure they do their jobs properly, which essentially led to like this parallel like slave drivers, right?
Mhm.
Like a lot of times slave drivers were also slaves themselves, and
Yeah.
they treated other people so shitty, and there was so much torture, there was so much like rape,
Jesus.
like there are like 15, 16-year-olds dying from like rape in Arkansas prisons. So like again, like it was
I didn't read
like
about any
they
of this.
the state deemed it unconstitutional. The entirety of the Arkansas prison system was deemed unconstitutional and had to start from the ground up.
That's
So
crazy.
bad. And that's why in the Folsom Prison record at some point he I mean you don't hear it on the record, but like he tells the warden that he's going to donate $5,000 of his own money, not like the proceeds of just out of his pocket, to build a chapel for the prison. And he said he publicly challenges the warden of the Folsom to do the same and match that donation. Of course, like whenever you publicly challenge somebody, they have to do it, right? That's not like a challenge. It's a fucking do it.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks you're a fucking asshole. So yeah, he did that, and it wasn't at Folsom; it was at San Quentin. It was at like a dozen other prisons too that he got chapels built because he's a very religious guy.
He's extremely religious. Yeah.
And then, but not only that, but he even took his shit to like Capitol Hill, man. He said like prisons suck here in the United States. They are garbage. We know that. Here are some things that I think we can do better. He actually offered ideas, right? Because there's kind of like two
That's how it
parts to
should
that.
be, man. Yeah, if you're going to be protesting, like
Yeah,
offer,
exactly.
yes.
So he offered ideas, and he said we should be separating first timers or low level offenders from like the hardened Gen Pop people. Like, don't throw them all together. That's silly. They're gonna get fucking killed. Like, and also just eradicate all low level offenses from prison entirely. Like, why the fuck are we sending people to jail for that kind of shit anyway?
For vagrancy,
and also like
fuck, shit like that. Like, what are you doing? Like,
and then like he said we should be offering these guys like long-term counseling when released. If they want to like go to rehab, we should be paying for rehab. There should be an overall focus on rehab rather than like actual just retribution type of thing. And like recidivism rates in America are just atrocious compared to like I think Norway has like a fucking 15-20% recidivism rate, which is insane, whereas like America has like 70 or 80%. Like most people that leave jail are going to go back at some point.
It's
fucking
it's
silly.
almost guaranteed. Well, it's because when you get out of jail, you have it's so hard to get back on your feet or to assimilate back into normal society. When you're deemed a felon, it's so hard to even just get a job, to rent an apartment. Like it's hard. It's really fucking hard.
It's sad. It's sad because like the point of jail is it's retribution and pay your debt to society. You get out and you should be scot free, right? You wash your hands. I'm good. Everybody, let's pick up where we left off. It's like, no, like you might as well just fucking die at some point. Like depending on your crime and depending on how long you're in jail for, you might as well just fucking die. And that happens a lot. There's a lot of suicides from that. It's crazy too. Merle Haggard. Do you see that Merle Haggard fucking saw Merle Haggard was prison at I think it was San Quentin before like the San Quentin record. But Merle Haggard was in prison at San Quentin and Johnny Cash played there. And Merle Haggard was like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. I could do that when I'm out. That's fucking cool. I like that. And then, as we know, Merle Haggard went on to be like a really successful country artist.
I didn't know that was the story, that he was at San Quentin when Johnny Cash went there. That's cool.
Not the iconic concert San Quentin, but prior to that.
Prior, like awesome. In the late 50s. That's really cool. And speaking of like prison reform and shit like that, like I was reading about just real quick, I was reading about the Robert Kennedy assassination back in the 60s, late 60s. And the guy Sirhan, he assassinated him. He went to jail. He's been on he hasn't been on a parole, but he's been eligible for parole since like the early 70s or mid 70s or whatever. And he tries like every couple years to get on parole, and he's denied every fucking year. And I looked him up. He's 80 years old now, and he tried to go on parole last year, I believe it was. He got denied again at 80 years old. And I'm thinking, dude, if you were to be put on parole at that age,
what are you gonna do?
How are you gonna assimilate? Like who's gonna care for you? But then I also read further, he's not American, so he has citizenship of Jordan. So if he were to be on parole, he would just get deported back to Jordan. And it's just like what what do you do in that situation? I mean, it's so fucking crazy and weird.
There was a fucking Colombian drug lord that was released in I think 2020 or 2019 or some shit after like 30 years in prison, 40 years in prison, developed like cancer, but he was extradited to Germany. So he leaves our prison and straight up goes to Germany for whatever fuck they're going to do to him over there. It's like, damn, dude, like just die. You know what I mean? Like you got to just die at some point.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Ugh.
Anyway.
Anyway, that was the whole Folsom Prison Blues thing. Cause this whole thing came about because he was inspired because he watched a movie about Folsom and
inside the
Johnny
walls
Cash
of Folsom Prison. That's
he's never been to prison. He's spent like a day in jail. But what's cool is I don't know, it's cool, but like what's honest and upfront is that he knows that the reason why he is not in prison is because he is famous. The reason why he did not go to jail is because he is famous and he has money. Because he knew that looking out into the crowd, there's a lot of people in there that did a lot less shit than he did. Like smuggling drugs from fucking Mexico that much. Like, are you kidding me? Like if you had no money, if you weren't Johnny Cash, bro, you'd be in prison.
I know. They even covered that in the movie, the Walk the Line movie.
Oh yeah, when they said you want to take the strings off, you want me to break them.
Yeah. He pulls out like 3 bags of like pills and shit like that.
And it was like fucking, it was like hundreds of pills.
I know.
But they were prescription pills. Mm-hmm.
I think I read that when that happened, he ended up having smuggling like 800 capsules or something like that of of
dude.
amphetamine. Like it's like these like harder drugs. Like this isn't Tylenol. You know what I mean? It's just this is like harder fucking shit. So, um,
So he knew that if he was a normal person with normal money and normal connections, he would be in prison. So him doing
yeah,
these prison shows, it made a lot of sense because really he is just like these guys in there. Like he fucks up constantly, right? You kind of like think like that poster child for a career criminal is just somebody who does the same thing over and over and relapses. And so
mm-hmm.
you kind of like here in America, at least, I don't know how they do it overseas, but here in America, we just see those people as throwaway people and we don't want to deal with them. And, you know, just put him in jail and forget about him. Who cares? But Johnny Cash is one of those guys that because he got lucky and had money and connections, he was that poster child for a career criminal, but he was able to
yeah,
get himself out of jail all the time, like Waylon Jennings, like all the
mm-hmm.
outlaw country guys.
Yeah. Was Johnny Cash like? Did he start the outlaw country? Like really start the outlaw country persona? Because I mean, he was
I
before Waylon Jennings, right?
Yeah, but like Waylon Jennings really, I mean, I personally, I love Waylon Jennings.
Yeah, I know you love him. I've never.
I fucking love Waylon Jennings.
Yeah.
I think the outlaw country movement started when Waylon Jennings didn't get on that plane with Buddy Holly. I think
Okay.
that's when like the outlaw country movement started because that's when Waylon like really fell into hard alcohol abuse. But you can even trace it back further to like Hank Williams. Like Hank Williams fucking
Okay.
was a heavy fucking drinker, like drank himself to death to the point where like how Hank Williams died was whoever his driver was at the time, they were driving cross state lines or whatever, and they stopped at a gas station to get food. And I suppose the driver said, like, "Hey Hank, you hungry? You want food?" And Hank's like, "Nah, I'm good." And then like they drove several hours, and then the driver looks back, and Hank Williams been dead for hours to the point where like rigor mortis is set in. He's all fucking like this,
Oh shit!
like he drank so goddamn much that he's just straight died. So I think like the outlaw country movie got romanticized, especially like when the Highwaymen hooked up, when it was like Chris Christopherson, fucking Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, and then who was the fourth one? I forgot the fourth one.
It wasn't Carl
Willie
Perkins,
Nelson.
was it?
Willie
yeah,
Nelson.
it was Willie Nelson. But that was like what 77, 78?
That was 85 when the Highwaymen got
Was it
together.
that late? Oh,
that record's so good too. Like
I've never heard it.
That's just that's like an all-star cast of just.
And that was like
country musicians.
That was when Johnny Cash was like at his lowest. You know, early mid 80s was Johnny Cash lowest.
Another valley, right? And his illustrious career.
And then Rick Rubin saved him again. But
I don't think Johnny Cash started the outlaw country movement. I don't think Johnny Cash did anything for it. I just think he was a part of it. I think when you think outlaw country, you think Willie Nelson, you think Waylon Jennings. I think Waylon Jennings, but I think Willie Nelson's probably the biggest one.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But Johnny Cash for sure part of it.
Just because Johnny Cash was so dark, like he was the man in black. You know what I mean? It's just like he's like, I don't know, just the dark one of it all.
He was just so real. He was just so honest. He was just so he was a normal dude.
He was also like a great storyteller. The way he tells the stories in all of his songs, which I mean, we'll get into. We've talked about so many like side things in history of Johnny Cash.
He's so fucking like interesting. I think like what makes Johnny Cash so unique is just, especially post pandemic, man. Like, dude, America drinks a lot of alcohol post pandemic. So like alcoholism rates are now like getting higher and increasing just because that's all we fucking did during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so it's a normal thing though. Like that's weird. Humans are like addictive creatures and we do things and that's fine. Who cares? We get over it. But Johnny Cash was one guy that like never really hit it. And that's why he got kicked out of like the Grand Ole Opry because he got fucked up on stage and started smashing lights and passed out on stage and canceled tours.
Yeah.
And like, that's why we like Johnny Cash, is because he's like us. He has faults. He has problems that he has to deal with that he can't deal with on his own. And that's why we love June. And then when I was watching the movie last night, I was like, I wonder like how close these actors are to their people they're portraying. And so I kind of Googled like live videos of each of them, and Luther, because Johnny Cash makes fun of him a lot for like being so like stiff all the time. That's exactly how he fucking was. And then Reese Witherspoon, man, like I'm just like smitten with Reese Witherspoon's fucking performance.
Dude, I know she's the best part of the whole movie. She's hands down the best part.
I Googled like June Carter and Johnny Cash together, and Johnny Cash is like a little fucking kid. He's always just smiling, and that thing he did with Miss Piggy too when they did Jackson. You watch that Jackson video with Miss Piggy? You ever seen that one?
It sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen that.
That was the only time I can talk about when we get to Jackson. But anyway, I Googled like snippets of June Carter. I was like, damn, dude, like that's like Reese Witherspoon nailed June Carter, fucking nailed her.
Yeah, she did. Her performance was the best part of the whole movie. Honestly, it was. I thought Joaquin Phoenix was a little weak, but I mean, yeah, Reese Witherspoon absolutely nailed it. She killed
Joaquin
it.
Phoenix is just like he's Joaquin Phoenix. He's always going to be like aggressively intense, right? Like a method
Yeah.
actor. Remember, like when we thought Joaquin Phoenix was dying. Remember, he grew this big old fucking beard, and there was this whole thing. Like, what's wrong with Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah.
Remember, he's a method actor. Like,
Yeah. But then people were saying like because he's like bipolar or something, or I don't know. It's something that people were saying like that's why he's having this like mental breakdown or some shit like that. But who knows? Who knows?
I can only speculate, but I think he's just another method actor that's just kind of fucking annoying.
Like what's his name? The guy from There Will Be Blood. What's that actor's name?
No, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, like extremely method.
Dude, chill,
great fucking
bro.
actor though. Great fucking actor though. But
chill,
yeah,
daddy, chill.
What the fuck even is that?
Daddy, chill.
So one little thing that I thought was super cool. I mean, it might just be kind of a legend thing, like a to build on his lore and character. But one thing I thought was super cool that I read this week about Johnny Cash was he was in the Air Force and he deciphered a lot of. He was a Morse code operator, and so he got a lot of incoming transmissions or communications from essentially. And he was the first American to find out that Joseph Stalin died. That's fucking
I saw
crazy.
That too. Like, is that real?
I mean, I didn't look it up. I didn't look too deep into it, but
I saw multiple sources say that was real. But like,
that's crazy. He was the first American to find out that Joseph Stalin died.
And then like he told his superiors of what happened, and they're like, "Yeah, for now, just keep it on the DL."
Yeah. But from what I read too, like he was very proud of that. Like that was like his favorite story to tell people was that he was the first one to know that Stalin had died. Crazy shit. But anyway,
I thought just because he was so good at like decoding Morse code fast enough.
Decoding is the right word. Yeah.
Not deciphering. Not decoding. Yeah, just decoding. Right. Droid Decaz.
All right. All right, do we have anything else on this damn song, Folsom Prison Blues?
I mean,
barely touched upon anything.
Yeah, sneeze too a little bit there. We talked about him in the chair force.
In the what?
It's like right here. It's funny because when I was in the academy, so like when I was, I've never served in the military, but like when I was in the academy, it was funny to watch all the other various people like make fun of each other for whatever branch of military they're in. And there's one guy in the Navy when I was in the academy, but most people were from the Marines and the Army. And there was like 3 or 4 from the Air Force, but they all called the guys from the Air Force the chair force because they said all you guys do is just sit around him. I always thought that was funny.
I know every military guy I meet, it's always like the Air Force is like the butt of the jokes. I always,
but it's like the coolest. You get to fucking fly planes and shit. The fuck out of here.
I agree. Yeah,
the Air Force saved us on Independence Day. Anyway, my sneeze went away. But if we're talking about his time in the military, there's some other cool things snippets of things I thought were interesting because he was stationed over in Bavaria, Landsberg, Bavaria, and Bavaria area. It was famous for a couple things. There's a horrible concentration camp there, which you kind of forget, like, because so much time has passed, you forget like how terrible that time of world history was. But I read that when that concentration camp was liberated and the soldiers were walking through and they saw all the charred, burned bodies, they went and grabbed all the fucking Nazis from like the local area and like literally dragged them back. Like they were choking them and fucking chained them up and dragged them back and then made them bury all of those bodies that they had burned by hand. So using their bare ass hands, fucking digging in the dirt and made them bury those bodies. I was like, fuck yeah. I like that.
That's crazy.
And the other thing I saw too was Landsberg, Bavaria has a prison that Hitler was imprisoned at in the 20s or 30s, 20s or 30s.
Just 20s.
But that's where he finishes his Mein Kampf book.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was in Landsberg. Yeah.
That's where Johnny Cash was stationed.
Yeah, I think it said that like it was. So all I read was that in Landsberg, that was like it's a very like popular like prison. There's a very popular or big prison in Landsberg, but I didn't realize that was the one that Hitler was in the 20s, where he wrote
The first
his
time he
book.
tried to overthrow his government.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. But
Yeah, like at the height, dude, at the height of the fucking concentration camp in Landsberg, the population of the town surrounding it was like 5,000. The concentration camp had like 10,000 people go through it.
that's crazy. And when you think about it too,
Fucking what?
when Johnny Cash was there, when he was in Landsberg, that was what, less than 10 years,
Yeah.
that they liberated that concentration camp. Like, that's crazy to think about. Like, now we're like 80 years, from World War II at this point. But at that time when he served, he was less than 10 years from the liberation of that camp. And he was right there. Like, I don't know, just fucking time, man. Time's crazy, dude.
Time is a thing, dude.
For sure, dude.
I do think about that though. Even especially like reading about it, it's like, damn, man, like if there are any left, there can't be a lot of like fucking World War II survivors by now.
There aren't that many. There aren't that many.
And at some point, there's going to be none. And then at some point, World War II is going to just be something we read about and think like how terrible that was. But you don't really fucking know how terrible that is.
Yeah.
Like you can't fathom these type of like numbers, right? Like we can't fathom how much $1 billion is because it's so much fucking money that a normal person we have no idea how much money.
And you don't associate yourself. You don't associate with people who are billionaires, for the most part. You don't meet a lot of people nowadays who were in World War II. Like it doesn't happen. Like I have family that I knew who were in World War II, but I mean, when they died, I was like 11 or 12. So it's not like I had like an adult conversation with them. Although I did meet a guy when I was in EMT in like 2018. I met a guy who he was 98 years old when we picked him up, and we were actually taking him from the hospital back to his house. He was 98 years old. He was a World War II veteran, and I was in the back with him, and we were just because he was totally fine. We were just taking him home, and we were essentially a glorified taxi service at that point. But so we were taking him home, and we were just talking, and I was asking him about the war and everything. And he said he was in Italy. He was stationed, not stationed, but he was sent to Italy to fight, and he told me he killed Nazis. He killed Nazis in Italy when he was there. This fucking guy in front of me literally killed Nazis. It blew my
like Wolfenstein shit,
my head was blown. And what's crazy is like this guy, we took him to a trailer park in Garden Grove. Like if anybody knows Southern California, Garden Grove is like a trailer park in Garden Grove. Usually not the nicest area of Garden Grove. And it's just like this guy fucking killed Nazis in World War II.
In a fucking trailer park in Garbage Grove.
Yes, it just was so crazy to me, just so fucking crazy to me. Really nice guy though. Really, I mean, I'm sure he's dead now. He was 98.
The guy literally saved the world.
Yeah.
Right, dude's like fucking Superman. He's living in a trailer park in Garbage Grove.
Yeah, crazy man. He lived with his son, but his son was like a drunk. Like his son, he was pretty much living on his own, but his son was living at the house. You know what I mean? One of those kind of things.
Wild.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, God, we're just totally getting off track. We got to get back to this.
There's so much stuff. There's a lot. So much interesting stuff.
Johnny Cash was a fascinating guy. He really, really was a fascinating guy. And we're not even like, I think the shit like in the 90s too, like when Rick Rubin started making music with him, there's like all that kind of shit there too. But anyway, we're talking about Folsom Prison. Folsom Prison. There you go.
Prism.
So what's your number 2 banger?
That was your 1B, right? Yeah, good boy. My 2B's Jackson.
Jackson is my 5B. So let's get it.
Better be a B.
What do you got?
So for one, it's not on this song, but I think it's a song. Yeah, it's a song right before where I don't know if you wrote notes on this, but Johnny Cash says something to June Carter where he says like, "Oh, I'm just watching the way you talk," and she's like, "I'm talking with my mouth." And I was like, "Dude,
it's
like
so
two
hillbilly.
things here.
It's so
two
hillbilly."
Things like one, Johnny Cash is still just like so infatuated with her that he's just literally just watching her talk. And just loves every minute of it. Like the whole entire concert it means nothing to him so long as he can just watch her talk, right? And they're not young. They're not like starry-eyed 20-year-olds. They're not like Romeo and Juliet here. They're like 30.
Yeah.
That's grown ass adult territory
Grown ass
here.
adult.
Yeah. And then when she says, I'm talking with my mouth, it was the most fucking innocent, endearing, cute like accent I have fucking think I've ever heard. I was
That's
like,
the
damn,
thing
I
too.
love this girl.
Her accent is cute. Her accent is just cute. Like you can't help it.
God, and like anybody else, the accent is gross, man. Like that part of the country's accent is just not attractive in any way. It's so fucking hillbilly trash.
But also
When
knowing
she said
that she's very
oh,
cute. Like she was very, very pretty. She was
just
very
very
pretty.
bubbly,
Yeah.
very, very. I don't know, just innocent and endearing was the two like words that I use. So anyway, Jackson, they do that song together. It's a duet. And like I said earlier with the Miss Piggy thing, the only time that Johnny Cash ever sang Jackson without June Carter was when he was on the Muppets and he sang it with Miss Piggy. But what's funny too about that performance is he did Orange Blossom Special before it, and then it medleyed into Jackson. But in the background, there's a fucking Confederate flag.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
So there's something there.
Was she also from Arkansas? I don't remember reading if she was.
I don't know where she was from.
Yeah,
but their family was an established family in the country scene, in the country genre.
And her and her sisters started very young. I think they started when they were like 9 or 10 years old or something like that. So
Johnny Cash had listened to them when he was young, listened to their family on the radio. Funny also is that her sister, I think Anita Carter, was married to Hank Snow, and Hank Snow cut a record was with Anita Carter, and it's like Hank and Anita, similar to like the Johnny Cash and June thing. But the first vinyl lot that we ever bought together, when we divided the records up, you, me, Sloan,
like 1,000 records.
Yeah, it was a lot. And like 99% of them was just chud. But I still kept that Hank Snow Anita Carter because it's fucking good.
Was it? Okay.
It's a good fucking fantastic country record. So I don't know. But anyway, Jackson. I think it's just a cute duet. That's it.
It's kind of like this honky tonk kind of rockabilly thing that they're doing. It's just trudging along. Really, it's just very, very nice. I don't know. It is a lot of fun, and she has this like the way June sings sometimes too is like she has this like guttural kind of like aggressive way of singing. It's just
no, Jackson.
I know.
Talking with my mouth. God.
Oh, it's great. It is a really good song. It's so much fun, and once again, it's just like you could tell like their chemistry, their dynamics were just so perfect. They seem so perfect for each other. There's no other way of saying it. Just perfect.
And that's why you can't fault him. I mean, I guess you can fault him, but you can't. I don't know. It's a tough line to walk if you're going to walk that line. But
there's a joke.
It's
dude.
like he was married, he had kids, but like, do you fault him for truly meeting his soulmate? Because they were together forever after that until she fucking died.
Till she died,
and then he essentially died like the day after. But he just kind of like. Well, he said that he died like the day that she died.
Oh yeah,
but he trudged along because he still had a couple songs to write.
Did you also? I didn't know this until this week because I knew that they died so close to each other, 4 months apart. So she died of complications from a surgery she had, and then he died 4 months later. But he was already really sick. Like his body was like atrophying to where like he wasn't able to like move. He was wheelchair bound.
He couldn't walk.
He really couldn't do a lot. And then after he died, like 3 months after he died, June's oldest daughter, I think it was her oldest daughter, died from carbon monoxide poisoning on a tour bus.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So it's like, and they were all buried next to each other that same year. All under 12 months, those three died. So tragic. So fucking tragic. But anyway.
Like, they're old.
Well, she was, the daughter was like 40.
Yeah, that sucks for sure.
Yeah. It was her and like her bandmate or like boyfriend bandmate. They were on the tour bus and they had like a space heater or some sort of heater, and it had malfunctioned or something had broken it, and the carbon monoxide leak happened in the bus, and they fell asleep and died.
That's interesting because did you see that, or did you read when Johnny Cash got arrested for starting a fire? And,
Yes, I saw that.
Almost burned a fucking forest down because he's all fucked up and
like in Ventura County, yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, "Was that you?" He's
truck.
like, "Nah, it wasn't me. My truck, it fucked up, and it burned down, so you can't question it." Like, no, dude, it's because you were fucked up.
And then did you read what he said after that too? He
So
said,
yeah, it's dead, so you can't question it.
no, no, it wasn't that. So I guess like in that, I mean, it's fucked up that he did this and said this, but the way he said it, I thought was kind of funny. So that particular forest that most of that burned there, I guess there was like 56 condors that like protected condors that lived on that land,
Oh,
lived in that forest, and 48 of the 56, they didn't die, they just left. They like flew away elsewhere, and I guess for whatever reason, like they weren't able to track them or whatever, so they left that forest, those 48. And like I guess the state sued Johnny Cash for that, because of that. And he says, I don't give a damn about your yellow buzzards. And just just like how hick and hillbilly that sounds, and like how much he didn't give a fuck about these birds. Like he
and
just
that's
didn't.
fucked up.
It is fucked
But he
up.
was fucked up. That
He
was one of
yeah.
his valleys, not the peak. That was one
Yeah,
of his
it
valleys.
was. That was like mid-70s, I think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, peaks and valleys. This guy's career.
He had a lot of them. Yeah, a lot of them.
That's a normal dude, right? Like people go through it. We go through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a relatable guy. Relatable guy. But yeah, Jackson. You don't like Jackson? That's fine.
This is my 5B.
We didn't even
my
talk about like
favorite.
how Live at Folsom Prison is just a complete cover, a complete ripoff of somebody else's song. Like
Oh yeah,
through.
it is. It is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it's like no part of that song is
He got
except for
sued
just
for
a
it.
couple. He paid the guy $75,000.
Yeah, in like 1972, he paid him 75.
That's a lot of fucking money. $75,000, dude, in 1972. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. You clearly ripped that song off.
I think he straight took up like he lifted the melody. I forgot what the guy's name was. I forgot who it was, but yeah,
He lifted the melody and he lifted most of the words too. The only thing he changed was instead of like whatever that person was talking about, he replaced it with Folsom Prison. That's it. These guys.
But I mean, in the end, like, you know, people in the 50s and 60s, especially the 50s, people were ripping off other people every fucking day. Like it was very, very, very common.
But if you're making money, you better be paying money.
But even if you are making money, like a lot of, especially if it was like a black artist that you were ripping off, there was these people didn't have lawyers to come in and say
that's a different ball game though. That's a
is.
different conversation to be had, as if you were a black artist getting ripped off, which happened decades and decades and decades. That's a different ball game. But if you're a white artist getting ripped off, then if the other white artist ripping you off is making money, you're going to get paid.
And this guy got paid. But in the end, you know, Johnny Cash had the last laugh because, I mean, he made far more money than $75,000, you know, on this song. I mean,
but like $75,000 in 1972, like that
is a lot.
It is. You could buy houses with that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Damn. So Jackson, do we have anything else on Jackson?
I'm going
as we went back to fucking Folsom Prison. Folsom Prison. So
no, that's it. That's all you have for Jackson.
That's 2B. My 2B is Cocaine Blues. Cocaina Blues.
That's not a B for me.
It didn't make it a B? Oh,
no, that's stupid. Come on. It's still
a good song. It's a great song.
No, I said of course it made a B for me. It'd be stupid if it wasn't a B.
Oh, okay. Then what is this for you?
Your reaction should have been bigger. It's my 3B.
Okay, close enough.
Honestly, it should have been my 2B, but it's just like, God damn, dude, June on Jackson is just, she's so endearing. Just smitten.
Yeah, right.
Can't get over it.
And so Cocaine Blues, it's a really fast, upbeat song. It's essentially a rockabilly jam. That's what it is. It's a rockabilly jam. It's not a Johnny Cash song. It was who's it? It was written by Tony Junius Amal. I don't know. It's based off some traditional song called Little Sadie. I don't know anything about any of that, but whatever. It's just a straight up fun song. It's so much fun. The way the song like kind of built, like during the verses it goes dun 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 dun. It just builds and builds, and then all the music stops, and then Cash finishes out the line. It's just the stop and goes of the song is just, it's so fun. It's just straight fucking fun.
It is. And it's just all verses. It's all verses. There's no chorus here. It's just good storytelling, and that's
what he's so good at.
That's what country like should just be. Is just good storytelling, like bass and folk, bass and like spiritual music, just good storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this song is lyrically, I mean, This tells the story of a guy who who was he
He
ended
does
up
too much
getting
coke and drinks too much and fucking kills his girl and then tries to escape.
essentially, yeah,
That's what happens.
that's exactly what it was. I was thinking about. I actually got this confused with another song that was similar to it, but never mind. Yeah, you nailed it with the lyrics.
Early one morning while making the rounds. And this, like, again, these are highly curated, and that's also like credit to Johnny Cash, man. He chose songs that are so aggressively prison-esque, right? There are no songs he could have chosen that are more appropriate or inappropriate even to play at a prison than talking about a guy who just got fucked up and killed his girl.
Yeah.
And then like ran away. Like that's something.
He sings a lot about death. Like even just like the slower like country ballads that he does. There's some dark stuff on here about death and
oof. Wait till you get to the wall, baby.
Yeah.
I saw anyway. Like there were a couple lines that I looked up and I couldn't find that if he said them or not or if they were true or whatever, but like one was I was like, Johnny, looks like you're going to a funeral. Like, maybe I am, like from the movie.
Okay, yeah.
I couldn't find that he didn't say that, but I couldn't find that he did say that. And the other one I saw, which was like one of my favorite lines from the movie, is when they're trying to tell him like, hey, like don't sing songs that remind the prisoners that they're in prison. He's like, why? You think they forgot?
That's a good line. Good. If he said that, that's a great line.
I couldn't find that he did or did not say that. So like for the purposes of like this argument, I'm gonna just assume that he did say that because that's such a like a good fuck you. And the whole San Quentin like middle finger thing that he did, like that was a good fuck you to them. Like everything this guy does, and they talk about the water too. Like damn, dude, this is
the yellow water sounds like it's what did they say? It sounds like. Or it looks like it ran through somebody's boot or something like that.
Look, they run off of Luther's boot. And he said, do they serve everything here in tin cups? Which is crazy to think about too. Like you can't give prisoners tin cups.
Yeah, no way.
File that down to a shank.
Yep, I know. It's fucking nuts, man. Nuts.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Cocaine Blues. Also, that's funny too because the announcement for this one, I thought this was funny. The announcements, there's is this the one? Yeah. So they talking about like whoever's announcing, he says, oh, prisoner number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you have visitors. And I was thinking in my mind, I was like, damn, do you imagine like spending time at Folsom and like you get your good seat there and Johnny Cash comes out and now you gotta leave to go talk to like your fucking wife or your kids or whoever the fuck. Are you kidding me?
How pissed would you be? Yeah.
Dude, like what in the hell? And then I digging further into like who was doing the announcement. The guy who did the announcement was Hugh Cherry. Huge Cherry. Hugh Cherry.
What a name.
Hugh Cherry was a DJ for decades in like the 50s to 70s. And he's from like what I read, he's essentially like the Rodney Bingenheimer of country music because he was like really good friends and drinking buddies with Hank Williams. He partook in all the wild times and debauchery from the country artists. So he was like the Rodney of like country music. And he was the one that I think he was the one that was reading off the announcements for those two guys that had to leave. And I even Googled those two guys and I couldn't find really anything on them, but I just thought like, dude, that would suck, man. That would suck. Like you spend all your time in Folsom and your life sucks. And the one time you get to enjoy yourself, like somebody comes to visit you.
Your wife comes to me. Like imagine like, I'm not even going to say it yet.
So like, essentially because after Cocaine Blues is done, they have to leave. So they missed like 25 minutes to go. Right. So like they're leaving as he's doing like the 25 minutes to go song. It's like, damn it, that song's good.
That's a great song too. Yeah. All right, let's get into your 3B was Cocaine Blues.
Yeah.
So my 25 minutes to go. That's my 3B. Let's get into that since you just mentioned it too.
Yeah.
What do you got on this one?
This is Shel Silverstein's song, and
it is.
We've talked about Shel in the past. I don't know why we have, but we've talked about Shel Silverstein in the past,
it's because you bought that vinyl, that record where the sidewalk ends.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
I thought you loved it.
Nah, I got rid of it. So I still have my Where the Sidewalk Ends and Light in the Attic books. Remember those thick white books that we had when we were kids? Yeah. I still have those. And when we were doing the pod, when I was in the pod in the office, I'd flip through them and there's like read poems, whatever. So I do like that. But the reason why I got rid of the vinyl was because he's just fucking, the way he reads things now, today, in a contemporary setting is weird.
Was
It's just
it
a
was it
little
actually
too,
him reading it? I don't
yeah,
remember. Was it? Okay.
yeah. So that's why we went over Shel Silverstein, who was just a massive player and a massive fucking guy who was also ingrained in the culture of the 60s and 70s, and never married because he
Was he
got too
gay?
much
Like,
strange ass. He just didn't care. That's all he
oh,
was.
he's
That's all he
yeah, he's
wanted to
probably
fucking
like
do.
probably gay, and he just was not talked
Dude, he was
about. Yeah.
he was a player, man. Dude was a player. But anyway, this was a Shel Silverstein song, which is interesting because the biggest, arguably like the biggest song of Johnny Cash's career, like for sure top three biggest song that he's ever did, was A Boy Named Sue, which is also a Shel Silverstein song,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
poem that he did.
God, that's such a good song.
But
the
25 minutes
way he
ago
tells that
is,
story, yeah, so good.
again, storytelling, right?
It's fantastic. This song is incredible. Like the lyrics, the countdown from 25 to 1, just counting down the last moments of his life. Oh my
And
god.
you get this
It's
like
fucking
this
great.
this anxious feeling, this impending doom that you are like fuck, like we're getting closer, and of course, like in true live fashion, Johnny Cash loses count. He misses some verses.
Yeah.
He skips like half the numbers, not half the numbers. He skips like a good 5 or 6 numbers, but that's cool. I like it because
I do
by the
too.
time we get down to like the bottom of it, where I'm feeling like, oh god, oh fucking oh shit. And then when he says, and now I'm swinging, here I go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Like that's super goofy.
Yeah, it is. It's fun too cuz like it's a faster song, and it's like every 2 lines he says another number, and then outside of like just skipping it, he says it's every 2 fucking lines, so it's you're constantly just this impending kind of anxiousness, or not doom, but more anxiousness as the song progresses. It's fantastic.
It's a
And
perfect reading of a perfect poem, and like,
it
yeah,
is. Yeah.
it's a perfect reading
Great
of a perfect
story.
poem.
Great, like you said, great fucking storyteller. Great storyteller.
He has a way to, I don't know, keep you on the hook, right, to the bitter
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. He really does. And the way he kind of like, there's parts too where he kind of like chuckles and laughs. Once again, it's just, dude, it's a great narrator. Oh, I love it. He's fucking great. He's fantastic.
Just a dude having a good time.
That's really what it is.
Just a dude having a good time singing songs to his friends.
And about something so morbid, something so fucked up. Like, it just makes it even better. It makes it even fucking better.
Yeah, it's funny because like I mean, again, we have listeners all over the world, but in America, we're pretty fascinated by like prison movies. We're pretty fascinated by mafia,
True.
by gangster, by all of these things. And like you've probably seen Cool Hand Luke. I'm sure you've seen Cool Hand Luke. Like that
Actually,
was.
I've not.
You've never seen Cool Hand Luke?
No.
Oh, you ever seen
I've
Escape
not.
from Alcatraz?
Clint Eastwood, right? Yeah. I've seen
Okay.
that. Yeah.
So like these are movies that's like
No, what was the?
Cool Hand Luke,
What was the?
Paul Newman.
No, I'm thinking of what was the
Oh.
Clint Eastwood one, like mid '80s? The one with the revolver, the cover
Dirty
of the movie?
Harry.
Dirty Harry. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I've seen that, but yeah, I haven't seen Cool Hand Luke.
You feel lucky, punk, with his face all stretched back. Do you?
Big ass fucking revolver, like
357, dude. It's a
like,
fucking massive gun.
It's huge.
It'll
The
blow
kick
off
on
a
that.
door.
Have you ever shot one of those guns?
Yeah, of course.
I've always wanted to shoot one of those. I just wanted to feel like how much of a kick that fucking gun has.
Just okay. So now I'm going to get into it for a second here. Do you remember in GoldenEye when you're playing GoldenEye and you had the revolver? How he holds the revolver, all kind of dainty.
Does he?
Like all the other pistols, like the hand is like it holds like a gun. And you're like, a gun. But the revolver, he holds it kind of dainty. But then it goes like boom, boom.
It does.
And I always thought like that's so dumb. Like, why do you hold it like a little bitch, dude? Hold that shit. But then like I shot a revolver, and it's like a good revolver, like a good like fucking I don't know, like a good like Smith and Wesson or something, a good revolver. Like the way you hold it, it looks kind of fucking dainty. It looks kind of stupid.
So you just can't help but Look like a
You just
bitch.
can't help it like look like a bitch when you hold it. Because no matter it's a fucking cannon,
Yeah.
dude. And 357 Magnum bullets are like this fucking big. Well, that
Fuck.
comparison doesn't
And
make
and
sense.
and
But
you shot a 357 before?
yeah, I shot 44s, 357s. And I think the 357 is the one that Clint Eastwood uses in Dirty Harry. I don't think it's a 44. But yeah, 357 Magnum is fucking huge. It literally
Yeah.
is like a cannon exploding in your hand.
That's
It's
wild.
a long ass fucking bullet. It's huge.
You didn't shoot it with one. You had to have used both, like proper technique, right? Did you? There's no way you could use one hand, like because like obviously in movies, like one fucking hand. That's just not gonna happen.
The most fun I ever had shooting was with Suha.
Of
And
course,
Suha,
of
Suha,
course.
I know.
Did his gun collection is fucking funny.
God, man. So like the most fun I ever had shooting was with Suha because he has another friend. His name was Bernard, and he had a lot of fucking guns too. So whenever we went shooting with me, Suha, and Bernard, no, did we shoot from the hip? We shoot like behind the back. We get into it. It's fun.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So anyway,
yeah.
reel it in.
So 25 minutes to go. 25 minutes to go.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that was quite the tangent we've gone on. Do we have anything else for 25 minutes to go?
No, that's it.
No. All right. So then, what's your 4B?
4B. What is my? The Wall.
The Wall from
The
Pink
Wall
Floyd.
from Pink
Yes.
Floyd.
What do you got?
What banger of this is yours?
This is not a banger.
What are you doing?
This is a good song, but it's not it didn't make my 7 banger.
Why? Okay.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
okay.
Well, let's get into this.
I don't know where to start here because I'm so irritated already. Okay.
So this is the part of the record where a lot of it are like country ballads, slower songs, where it's just Cash on vocals and guitar, not a full band thing, and that's good. But I don't think this is the best of that part of the record. It really is.
Okay, all right. That's where I'll start then. Just to tell you how you're wrong, not why you're wrong, but how you are wrong.
Okay.
So how you are wrong is yes. This so like after Orange Blossom Special, like everything quiets down, everything calms down until we get to like Jackson, until we get like June Carter in there. So this is all like 5, almost 6 songs that are kind of in that vein of just this is the quiet part of the set here. I'm going to sit down. By the way, did you look up pictures of the Folsom Prison set, like what they played or what it looked like when he was playing?
No, I didn't.
So like as I'm talking to you, probably just Google it.
I could, yeah, real quick. I'll do it right now. Yeah.
Which is weird because they brought a guy to take like actual pictures of the set, but there's no video. And I always thought
that was weird. I thought that was weird too because I tried looking up video and I didn't see it. Couldn't find
no video. But I was like, you know what? I kind of like that there's no video. They didn't know it back then, but now because there's no video, it's like this performance that will live in like infamy that will just be better than it could possibly ever be with video because we don't know. So there's only a couple pictures here, but like there's one picture from the stands and the people on stage and like up in the rafters, there's a fucking cage sticking out of the wall with like 2 guards, maybe one or 2 guards with like guns sitting in like a steel cage, like it's a fucking octagon of the UFC looking out at the crowd.
And
then there's another picture from behind Johnny Cash looking out into the crowd with all the prisoners like right there in the front where the stage is not very big, very makeshift.
Yeah, the stage is very, very small.
Yeah, like there's no room for movement whatsoever.
And it's so high up. Everybody's sitting down. Like, I mean, for obvious reasons. I mean, these are all inmates. Like, but yeah, everybody. I wonder if they're chained to their chairs. Do you think so?
No, they were honestly, Johnny Cash had said after this came out, he said that the people were very nice because they were
appreciative. Well, they were also, well, there's that too. Yeah.
Like even the parts where people were clapping in between certain parts and songs, that was dubbed. That wasn't real. Like a lot of the inmate applause throughout the album was dubbed because these inmates would not fucking say a word because they would get the shit kicked out of them.
Fucking crazy.
Like that, like not just like normal prison beatings, right? Like you see in the movies, like losing teeth and like hemorrhaging of the brain type of beatings. So
yeah. There's
Holy,
the one picture of Cash going up and shaking the hands of one of the inmates. What do you think happened to that inmate? Oh, it was that. I
yeah,
wonder
yeah.
if that's the what is it,
That's
Gary
Shirley,
Shirley? It must be, that must be who it is. There's probably like permission that was given to him for to shake his hand.
dude. And then like, I mean, we'll get to that song later on, but
Yeah.
he calls him out. I'm like, bro, why did you call that guy out? It's fucked up.
I know. It really kind of makes him a target for other inmates. But
God.
also it's like,
And
was it,
the guards.
well, the guards, but also like, but when it comes to the inmates, I'm curious if it was like how it is now, or how we see it in the media, like if it's as cutthroat and fucked up amongst inmates as it is now. You know what I mean?
I think now it's worse than it probably has ever been. I think now you go to jail, you're either going to come out a better criminal or you're just not going to come out. Like I think those are the only two options.
Okay.
I think prison systems have in America at least have only just gotten worse, and they're the absolutely fucking worst place to be. That's why nobody wants to go to prison in America, right? All the drug dealers and cartel leaders, they don't want to go to prison here.
Yeah, that's true.
Shit.
Yeah,
Shit.
they would rather be extradited to wherever they,
Fucking
whatever
anywhere
country.
on
Yeah.
Earth. Put them on the moon. They don't go to America. Anyway, The Wall, man. The Wall is just it's a good soft song. It's a fucking strong melody. It's one of those things that it doesn't have a chorus. It's just like verse, 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 verse.
Yeah.
It tells a cohesive
So good
story
at
from
that.
beginning to end. And it's not just a story of like suicide or murder. It's a story of like hopelessness. And this is
Isolation.
kind of like a
Yeah,
this is like a
that's
kind of
like
like
the
a
word I'm just thinking of.
like it's kind of like this surreptitious way to like instill upon these prisoners like you guys are fucked, man. Like the only way out of here is like on a stretcher, and that's sad. That's terrible. But it's so fucking catchy.
Yeah.
And the guy that wrote the song, Harlan Howard, we should know Harlan Howard because he helped write a lot of Buck Owens songs, including "Tiger by the Tail," "I've Got Up." Yeah. Harlan Howard wrote a bunch of Buck Owens, or co-wrote a bunch of cool Buck Owens songs. It's a good song.
It's a good song. It is good. It just didn't make my banger list.
And then like Johnny Cash even like calls out the fucking warden. Like mean someone bitch, isn't he? Like damn, dude. Those are mean bastards, ain't they? It's like damn, dude.
Ballsy, very very ballsy.
That's ballsy, dude. That is.
But
ballsy.
once again, he's not an inmate. What the fuck does he give a shit about in the end?
Well, okay. So there's a couple different things here, and like Johnny Cash, we'll get into when we talked about the Greystone Chapel with Shirley. He had later said that he should not have called his name out because he feels bad because now the wardens have it out for him and the prison guards have it out for him. And in this song too, like he said that he should not have called these people out because whoever laughs during that, like they're looking, dude, they're looking to see who's fucking laughing at these jokes, and they're gonna beat the shit out of these guys after Johnny Cash leaves. And Johnny Cash, because he has money, because he's Johnny Cash, he does not have to like sit there and take those beatings. He can just leave and go away. And like that's in part why he was such an advocate for prison reform throughout 20, 30 years of his life.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy shit, man. Crazy
He had
shit.
He had a conscience.
You know what I noticed too about kind of not off topic, but a lot of these songs are like 2 minutes long.
Yeah,
they're not long.
That's all you need.
I mean, I guess that's like those are pop songs from the 50s and 60s. I mean, these songs are not long, but yeah, dude. What is this song? This song is a minute 54 seconds. Minute 54 seconds. That's it. That's all you get. But once again, there's no chorus. There's no like major melody. It's just him telling a story real quick. I like it. I really really do like it. But
yeah, I mean, that's the beginnings of country music is just folk songs.
Yeah,
like American folk songs, or essentially just British folk songs, and like country music is just British folk songs that they brought over here, and then mixed with like indigenous populations of Native Americans here to create something entirely different.
Well, it's cool. It's cool too with these kinds of songs is that like when you go back to like Native Americans and everything, like they have songs and stories that were never written down. They're only ever told through song, told through like, you know, just telling the story without music. You know what I mean? It's just, I kind of like that idea.
it's not just Native Americans, but I always stress this. I always say that melody is like the most important thing when it comes to music, because that is how we
100%.
pass down things from generation to generation without a written form, is through melody. Like first it was dance, first it was, rhythm and things like that before we could speak and articulate our thoughts properly.
Yeah,
But now it's melody,
it's
and
melody.
melody
Yeah.
like has to. If a band, if a song, if a genre just lacks melody, it's just fucking dumb. It is just dumb. That's why the Deftones are one of the
Oh
worst,
my
most
god.
overrated fucking bands of all time. They lack melody in every way, shape, or form.
That is so wrong. That is so wrong. So wrong.
I can't even sing you a popular Deftones song. I
I
can't
get
even do it.
I agree with you that a song that lacks melody, it's hard to get behind it. It's hard to see
Worthless.
how it can transcend generations. I get that. But to throw Deftones into that's just stupid. You're just fucking dumb.
You're right. They're not even in this conversation because they're so down here when we should be talking up here. You're right. That's on me. You're right. You're
Okay.
right.
All right. Okay. Anyway, continue. Okay, let's move on from the wall. Let's move on from the wall since you've already you're just making me mad.
I'm mad, Ty.
I'm mad. I'm so mad.
What's
What
your
the
what's
fuck
your
is that?
what's your 4B? I don't know what that was. That was something.
The long black veil, which is not
Really?
a banger for you. Yeah, I know.
It's
I know
not a
it's
banger
not.
for me.
I think this is the more of like a ballad, but I think this is the darkest song on like sound wise, feel wise. This is the darkest song on the record. It's very very somber, very melancholy. He sings in a much lower, not a much lower, but he sings in a lower register than a lot of parts and a lot of songs on this record. This is not an original song. This is originally from 1959, written by two guys named Danny Dill and Marjon Wilkin. Don't know who they are, but
Marshawn Wilkin, come on.
don't know. Is that a guy? I don't know.
I don't know. Don't know. Don't care.
You know more about country music than I do. Honestly, you do. So I
I don't know that much about country music.
You know more than I do. Let's just say that you know more than I do.
Like these guys are like based in folk though. These guys are based in like folk music, like Woody Guthrie, like even way before that, like decades prior to the Dust Bowl. Like that's country is folk music. Country is folk music, just with a different twang to it.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, but I do
that's exactly what it is.
I like this song. I like this song because of how somber and melancholy it feels. It sounds. It's dark. It's fucking dark. It's the darkest. It's the darkest song on the whole record, and it's smack dab like in the middle of the record. I think it's track 8 or 7 or something like that. So it's right in the middle of the record, and it's just brutal. It's just a brutal sounding song. I love it, and it's about death. I mean, once again, it's another song about death.
There's two parts. There's two parts of this song that I was like, damn, that's fucking this is hardcore. Is when the part where the judge is asking the kid if he had an alibi. Mm-hmm. I think he rhymes alibi and die. He says, "Do you have an alibi? Because if you were someplace else, then you don't have to die."
That's really.
And it's like, damn. And then like the next part, he talks about being in the arms of my best friend's wife, and everybody claps. And then even Johnny Cash is like, did I hear somebody applaud? It's like, damn, dude. Like I just said the most darkest fucking lyric that you guys have ever heard, but all you heard was like, I'm gonna fuck my best friend's girlfriend or some shit like that.
And so and yeah, the lyrics are dark. I mean, it's about a guy who's being put to death essentially because he won't tell the judge, he won't tell the court where he was at because he doesn't want to betray his best friend. He was having sex with his best friend's wife, and he doesn't want to betray his best friend, so he'd rather die than betray them. That person, that best friend. It's just
nobody knows but me. That's sad, dude.
It is.
That's
and then I think part of the like one of the lyrics too is like it talks about that girl going to his grave and weeping for him, like she's the only other person that knows what actually happened, so she goes to his grave and weeps over his grave. Fuck, that's deep. That's not deep. It's just dark. Yeah,
it's just dark. Yeah, it's just dark. But there's also the one too where he talks about getting the water, and then he has the water, and he's like, "Oh, it looks like a run off Luther's boot." But then he asked him too, like, "You sure this is water? Like this is what you drink?" And he asked the prisoners, like, "You guys drink this shit?"
It looks like
Oh,
piss. I'm sure
this
it
is the
looks
end of
like
what
piss.
this is the end of it too, where the guy he says there's a message for Sandoval. He says he says Sandoval instead of like Sandoval, like the
Yeah,
more like Mexican Hispanic last name Sandoval. He's like, is Sandoval here? Sandoval? I know that
I don't
I
remember
always
that
thought that
part.
was really funny.
I don't remember that part,
Like, what
but
the
I could
fuck are you
see that.
saying? Sandoval? Sandoval? Like Sandoval, bro.
You know that guy is just trying to be a racist prick. That's hands down what it is. He's trying to be a racist prick.
Sandoval.
Sandoval, Sandoval. God damn, a straight up racist man.
Like no one's ever said that in the history of fucking last names. Fucking asshole. What a dick. That was a good song though. That
Oh
was a good
man,
song.
it's fucking great. It's fucking great. So we've gotten through a pretty good chunk here. What else haven't
Yeah.
we talked about? Banger, like when it comes to bangers from both of us.
Just I mean, really, if we just talk about two, then I'm good. Like Orange Blossom Special, I just want to cover, and
Okay,
then Greystone.
that's fine with me. Yeah, that Orange Blossom special is my 7B.
It's my 5B.
So what do you got on that one?
It's a song written for the fiddle.
Yes.
My favorite Charlie Daniels record is because of this. Like they do a live version of this at the end of the record. I think it's Fire in the Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. This song is fucking good.
Yeah.
But I like the harmonica thing, but then like watching Johnny Cash do it live, because like a harmonica, it's not just like one harmonica, because it's so tiny, right? So you have to have different like octaves of harmonicas, or different keys, not octaves, keys, different keys of harmonica. So he has like three that he goes back and forth to. And here he's like, I gotta switch them up real fast. He goes like do 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 do. And as he's doing over here, he puts this one back and gets another one.
It's so sick.
It's so fucking cool. And like I just like this is like it's kind of like a cool little punk rock song if like punk rock was country in the 60s. And like it's an amazing song. And it's so innocent. It's about a fucking train. It literally is just about a train. There's nothing deeper than it's just about a train that ran from like New York to Miami back in the day. That is it.
It's so simple. Yeah, the original song was originally done in 1938. Super old. Written by some guy named Evan Rouse. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but I do like his kind of his. I do like how Johnny Cash, instead of playing the fiddle or hiring somebody to play the fiddle, he just fucking does it on the harmonica. He just fucking, I love that. I fucking love that. It's so cool. It's so ballsy because it's like a straight up bluegrass. This is a bluegrass song. It's a bluegrass song that he makes into a country song. That it's fucking cool as hell. Also, the whole time, it's just a drum roll. The whole song is a drum roll. He churches it up here and there, but the whole thing is a constant build up while Johnny Cash is just ripping it up on the harmonica. Love it.
W.S. Holland. That's the drummer's name. W.S. Holland.
What a name. Sounds like it reminds me of in Home Alone 2. What's the guy who owns the toy store?
The old dude, the old guy with the white hair.
It sounds like some guy who would own a toy store.
Damn, I was just watching Big the other day too, and that's also
Tom Hanks?
that guy. Yeah,
I haven't seen that since I was a kid.
That's one of those movies that has been. I think it's funny. I think it's cute. I think nobody were thinking about the things that we think about now. Back then, the whole like Tom Hanks is actually a kid and getting seduced by an older woman, and like that. Like nobody thought about that kind of shit. You know, it is weird. When you like get into it and fucking think about it, it's weird. But like, that's not what I don't know. It's like a kid who's a grown up.
I know.
Living the dream, baby.
It was a different time.
Old women.
It was a different time.
Anyway, the whole guy in there, I don't know what the guy's name is. Whatever the fuck it is. He looks like a W.S. Holland. W.S. Holland.
All right. Orange
Blossom Special. Let's get into the last one before we call it a night here.
Yeah.
Greystone Chapel.
What do you got on this one?
Greystone Chapel. This is written by an inmate who he called out, and he's, oh yeah, Shirley, this is your fucking song. But earlier in the performance, did you hear him say, he's, hey, what's up, Shirley? After
I don't remember that.
I'm gonna look at my notes real quick. All right, there it is. On 25 minutes to go. At the end of 25 minutes to go, he acknowledges Shirley. He said, "Hey, what's up, Shirley?" Or said, "What's going on, Shirley?" Or, "Hi, Shirley." He says something to him. So like
Okay.
Shirley was positioned like towards the front of the audience, close enough for Johnny Cash to see him, know him, and acknowledge him. And Shirley had no idea that Johnny Cash was about to sing one of his songs until he called him out and then sang his song.
That's so
And
cool.
and
So sick.
I do like me some like church hymny type of song. Like
Mm,
I do enjoy those. I do I do like them. And this is a very churchy
it
hymny
is.
type of song. And I fucking love it. It's this is my EB.
This is, I mean, this could, I mean, it might as well be a low B for me too, but it's a great song. The story behind it, with the inmate writing it, sending it or giving it over to Johnny to sing and play, I think that's super cool. Um, and honestly, like a lot of people, they don't trash Johnny Cash's gospel stuff, but they don't speak highly of it. But
I love it.
I listen to some of his gospel stuff. It's fucking cool, man. It's fucking good. I really, really
Yeah.
dig it. I really, really, I think it's rad stuff. Um, and I just think it's such a cool idea that they decided to do this. And actually, going back to playing these songs, normally the band never rehearsed. They never rehearsed. They would just get up on stage. They knew what to play. They knew their shit, and they did it. But they actually spent like 2 days prior to these performances to actually sit down and play the songs together, like consecutively and multiple times and everything like that. I thought that was cool too. Like they really they prepared
Tried.
themselves. They tried. They prepared themselves, which is crazy now because like you see bands nowadays, they rehearse for like a month before they even go on tour. But this is unheard of for bands at the time. But also these guys were touring for a month, recording a record, going on tour for a month, putting out 3 records, 4 records a year. But
And playing the same fucking song over and over and
playing the same
over.
fucking
Really,
song.
it's
Yeah,
not
that's true
that
too. That's true too.
complicated.
That's
But
true too.
all W.S. Holland's doing is little with little drum roll. That snare sound though.
It's a good snare sound, right? It's good though, right? It does sound good. No, this is a good song though. It is good. It's a good closer. Great closer.
I love a good church hymn. I do. If it's catchy, it's fucking for me. I don't even care. Love it. I like that he ended this record on a church hymn because he has always been a God fearing man. He has always been a religious dude. He kind of loses his way during the valleys, but finds God at the peaks.
He
And I
does.
think that's something that Johnny Cash has never shied away from, is how religious he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool, man. I respect that. I
I do
respect
too.
that because and he's never been a guy to like force his beliefs on anybody else. And he's even said that. He said, like, you know, if you want to believe in God, you can. Like, if you ask me about it, I'll tell you about it. But everyone's doing their own thing, and I don't care what you do.
Did
He's
you
never been that kind of guy.
did you also read, like, in 1982 or 1983, he wrote a book, a fiction book about some
Yeah.
like prophet, and then
Yeah.
also on top of that, he has like an audio book. He read the entire New Testament from the
Oh
Bible.
God, I didn't see that. Oh,
Yes, he read the
Jesus.
entire New Testament, and I kind of thought, do I want to listen to that? Like that might be kind of cool. Reading the whole New Testament, Johnny Cash reading the whole New Testament, that might be kind of fucking rad.
That's something.
I'm interested in that.
I'm not
honestly.
opposed to that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
because
dude,
he's a great
wrote
storyteller, dude.
and he wrote two, like his autobiographies. You know, usually like Tom DeLonge hires somebody else to write their autobiography
Yeah.
for him. Johnny Cash
Why are
did
you
it
saying Tom
himself. He
DeLonge?
wrote two
Why are
of
you
them.
saying that?
I don't know because I
He's
could
never
say
written
somebody
autobiography.
else. I know exactly. He
Why
hired
don't you
somebody
say
else to do it.
Travis? Why don't you say Travis? Because Travis
You don't care about-
literally did that. Travis
you don't
literally
care.
did that.
Because you don't care about Travis as much. That's why.
That's true. I don't. But
But Johnny Cash literally wrote his own autobiography.
A-Auto? Yeah.
His A-Auto.
His A-Autobiography.
A-Auto.
He wrote like 3 autobiographies
Yeah.
over his life. Yeah,
Triple A autobiographies. Yes.
exactly.
And an erotic Jesus fan fiction book.
What?
That was the fiction. That was the fucking
so stupid.
erotic. Oh,
Dude, this is spiraled. This is spiraled.
there's a lot of erotic fan fiction in Bob's Burgers, so that's all I ever think
Is
about.
that what your reference is? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
you don't
get the
watch
reference.
Mobbers,
I
though.
don't. I
That's
don't.
fine though.
I don't think it's that
That's
funny. I
okay.
really don't. I don't think it's funny.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Well, you watch Shameless and think that's funny, so
Shameless.
that's about all
Shameless
I
is a
got.
terrible
Oh,
show. Terrible
did you
show. Don't
also
watch it.
did you also read about the guy that wrote the Glenn Shirley who wrote about who wrote that song, the Greystone Chapel?
No, I didn't. I didn't have enough time to read more into. I wanted to
That's,
read more about him, but I didn't.
that's pretty sad too, because this is a guy that you know, in and out of jail and stuff like that, and all that good stuff. But he was serving time for like robbery or some shit, which I always think like robbery today, right? It's an aggressive crime. But it doesn't always kind of like have to be like if you perch, if you
Snatch.
perch, if you like a bird on a perch and you
Yeah.
snatch that perch, that's a perch snatch. If you purse snatch, if you steal somebody's purse that's on the floor, that's like that's theft, right? But if that purse is now on somebody's body, on somebody's person, and you take it, that's robbery. So not saying that, you know, whatever is one worse or bigger than the other, but like that's where like the line is kind of like drawn is like taking a purse from the floor is a misdemeanor at best. Taking a purse off of somebody's arm is you going to prison. So this guy went to prison for robbery, wrote the song, Johnny Cash did it, and Johnny Cash like extended the olive branch. He said, "Hey, dude, when you're out, I got you, bro. Record deal, fucking, I'm gonna hook you up with everything." And he did. He got out of prison, cut a record, and then I went on Discogs. I was like, I wonder how much the guy's fucking record is worth. It's worth like $5. Nobody gives a shit. And it's supposed to be garbage. It's not supposed to be very good at all. But yeah, Johnny Cash helped him cut a record.
Did you look it up? Is it on streaming sites?
I don't know. I didn't look it up on streaming sites.
Oh my God. You almost did your due diligence. You almost did everything. But you fucked up at the very end. But that's fine.
I did.
Up at the very end.
So anyway, so like cut to the chase here. Costanza, cut to the chase. Later on in his life, it's like the late 70s, early 80s. He surely shoots a guy. Like he shoots a guy in Reno.
Yeah.
But he shoots a guy.
It'd be funny if it was actually Reno, though, right?
No, it wasn't in Reno. It was in California somewhere. But he shoots a guy, kills him, and he calls his daughter. I think it was his daughter, and he tells his daughter, "Hey, like, I'm not going back to jail. Like, I got out of there. I've been trying to do better." And he was off and on drugs throughout his whole fucking life, because that's the poster child of recidivism in America. So he shoots this guy, kills him. He knows he's going back to jail. So what does he do? He shoots himself, kills himself, dead. Tragic. He's like 40 years old.
Damn, that's it?
Yeah.
Fuck.
But that's just like wild, dude. Like Johnny Cash, like sees, I don't know, man. That's some like divine intervention shit right there. Like Johnny Cash did his due diligence, right? Like God told Johnny Cash to do these kind of things. And I'm not a religious guy, but like, damn, man, if I was going to be a religious guy, I would think that God told Johnny Cash to choose this one dude. And even though that ended up in travesty, that's some like divine intervention type of shit.
Yeah.
Sad.
I did not know that. That's really sad. But also, we don't know this guy's like true history. Like he could have been an absolute piece of shit too. You know what I mean? So we're also basing this off of very little information.
I mean, there's like nothing written about these guys because they're inmates, right? Who gives a fuck? Yeah. But it's just I always think when people are in prison, like even like old like blues artists from like the 30s and 40s, when they're in prison for robbery, like we think robbery, like stick them up, give me your money.
Yeah,
like that's the most aggressive form of robbery.
Like a gun, mugging, like beating them.
Like literally, you could just steal a purse off of somebody's person, and that's robbery. And if you have no money, or if you're black in like the 20s or 30s, you're going to prison, dude, for like 20 years for stealing a fucking purse.
I know. But then the opposite of that is like nowadays here in California, especially. If you're stealing anything under $1,000, it's not even like a misdemeanor or not a felony. I'm sorry, it's not even a felony. So it's like people know like when they go into a store and they steal shit, they'll steal, under $1,000 so that they can get out on bail for like nothing, or not even without bail, like same day.
You won't even get arrested.
Yeah. Did you see that? Did you see that? I heard it on Tim Conway Jr. At TJ Maxx, there was a lady who stole from a TJ Maxx 32 times within a month. It was something like that. stole from merchandise from TJ Maxx 32 times in a month, but every time she stole under $1,000. She ended up stealing like $40,000 overall in merchandise, but because each time was under $1,000, she wasn't charged a felony. So she was let out like same day because of
See,
that. Like it's
like
just shit like that, like that people are
out
getting away with.
here, out here in Arizona, in this lawless fucking town, like it's things are a little bit different. We have some people that come into our store who work for Target, and they say that if you steal from Target, Target lets you steal from over and over and over because they just build a case. They build a case, and once you hit that certain threshold, then they fucking capture you. You're gone, and then you're going away to prison because you stole X amount of dollars over that grand theft limit. But it's not worth their time to catch you and stop you if you're stealing like $20 worth of shit. But TJ Maxx, is that used? Isn't like TJ Maxx like all discounted shit anyway?
It's discounted, but it's not used. It's like it's shit that didn't
It's like
sell
Ross,
at other
right?
stores. Yeah, it's shit that didn't sell at other stores.
Dude, it's like stealing $1,000 from TJ Maxx. Like you gotta work.
That was the kind of joke of it. It's like stealing $40,000 from TJ Maxx is stealing from like everything from like 2 stores. Yeah, that was like the joke of it. Yeah,
crazy.
But yeah, the laws here in California are fucking insanely out of control, and the people getting away with shit is unreal.
Which is like it's a very slippery slope anyway, because
it is.
If I work at Target, right, and I'm getting paid minimum fucking wage, and I hate my hours, and I hate my boss, and someone has a shopping cart full of stuff, and they're walking out, I'm not stopping them. Are you fucking crazy? No way. I'm not gonna get stabbed for Target. Fuck off. Like those guys who work for like Brinks and shit, who like deliver Target's money and they have guns. Like I'm not getting shot for fucking insured money from Target. Are you crazy?
They show up in the armored.
No way.
They show up in the armored car. Like you watch them like roll up now.
What are you doing?
They show up in the armored cars. They have like 2 other like armed guards with them, like guarding the truck, guarding one of the guys that carries the money out. It's fucking crazy. Do you remember,
bro? You're really gonna die for Walmart's money.
Do you remember that girl Rosella Hernandez that we went to? She went to high school with us, but I grew up with her in elementary school. Do you remember this girl Rosella? Anyway, when we were in high school, we were like sophomores in high school. Her uncle was a Brinks like armored truck guy, and he got shot and killed in front of like a Target. Yeah, and I remember she left. She was out of school for like a month,
bro. You're really gonna die for a corporation's money. Yeah. That money's fucking insured anyway. Like who cares? Ugh.
I know. Ugh. Crazy shit. Whatever. We're God, we've gotten so deep in the weeds.
This is what Johnny Cash does to you, man. This is what Johnny Cash does to you.
Dude, we've gone so many different ways that I never thought we were gonna get into this week. But let's finish this up. Let's get into our final thoughts. We'll rate the record based off of our world famous 3-point rating system, where 3 is a perfect album, 2 is a good album you're going to continue to listen to, 1 is a bad album, give it a shot, and 0 is the worst thing you've ever heard. So what do you got, Jeff? Go.
A lot of thoughts here. I think this is one of those records that is better like as a whole than it is as a record. Yeah. What this did for like music, what this did for like social policy, what this did for country music was pretty insane. And again, like this is Woodstock era. This is like big guitars, big fucking rock star personas. And Johnny Cash is like changing social policy in America. He is doing things that like rock stars can only fucking dream of. And he's doing it on 2 3-chord songs with no choruses, singing folk tunes that he didn't even fucking write. But that's bonkers. That's bonkers. This is beyond perfect. This is a perfect record, but I don't know. This is something more. This is something that should be protected. This should be sent into space that aliens can hear. This is crazy. It truly is. It's crazy.
It's great. It's fantastic.
And it's hard to even rank this because yeah, like the songs, if you just took one song out of this and like The Wall, right? You don't like The Wall that much, but like The Wall, like, yeah, it's okay. It's an okay song. But like, given the context of the record, given the fact that he's talking about a guy who's trying to escape prison rather than be in prison any longer, and he knows he's going to fucking die and then dies, but he's singing it to prisoners out of prison. Like,
Mhm.
damn, dude, that's something else. That's something else. I don't know. It's hard to rank a record like this because it's not just like a music record. It's something that helps like define America. It did.
Okay.
It still
All right.
does.
All right. So what would you rate it?
It's a 3, but a 3 doesn't even like do it justice. Like this is, I don't know. This is one of those records that I think is just so important to like American history. Like, you know, the people always say, oh, it's part of the, what do they call it? The natural or the what the fuck do they the Library of Congress? That's what it is. The Library of Congress. It's like, oh, this record was inducted in the Library of Congress and protected. Like the fuck out of here. Half those records are dumb. This is one. This is one that should be there.
Should be there. Okay. All right. All right. Well, buckle up for my rating. But so this record across the board has like perfect ratings. Like you look at every reviewer and everything. This is just one of those things. Like Fleetwood Mac's Rumors, perfect across the board.
Dude, great record.
This is one of this is one of those records that does have a perfect rating across the board, and it's a live record. And like we mentioned, this beat out the Beatles in 1968. You know, it's a huge for a guy like
that's
this.
That's why he hates it.
No, gotcha. for a guy like this is a huge feat, especially like you mentioned with Woodstock, all of the counterculture, all of that movement, which, you know, as we've seen throughout the years, that's become we've realized that that's become more and more bullshit, and it's really just a bunch of fucking rich kids who, you know, wanted to like defy their parents and be this counter movement, but it's just like they weren't representative of any sort of community that was struggling or trying or anything like that. And like the whole hippie movement, counterculture thing was a bunch of bullshit for the most part anyway. But a guy like Johnny Cash,
middle class white people who had the opportunity to take time off of work and go
like,
dick around,
like the equivalent like nowadays would be like Coachella, like people going to Coachella. That's essentially what Woodstock is. That's really what it is.
Coachella's the worst.
But really, that's what Woodstock was. It's just a bunch of fucking rich kids going out to the middle of fucking nowhere, watching a bunch of bands that they like, and then that becomes this entire fucking movement. And that's what Coachella has been for many years, rather than just 1 year. But, you know, with somebody like Johnny Cash, this guy grew up fucking poor on a cotton farm in Arkansas. You know, he started from nothing and became essentially something huge, iconic, something that changed country music in general, really just music in general for the most part. And he did it not by himself, but I mean, he didn't need all these like extra hands in the pot. He didn't need all these producers. He didn't need this whole movement behind him. He did a lot of it with his buddies like Jerry Lee Lewis and, you know, Carl Perkins, you know, just all these guys. They all did it together at the same time, but it wasn't this like massive kind of fake movement that happened. I think it's fucking awesome. And this guy was so successful, and rightfully so. One of the great storytellers in music ever, one of the most unique voices in music ever. His activism was actually relevant, and it actually served a real purpose rather than most of the
still talked about today. Like it still hangs true.
And when you're throwing it up against like the counterculture bullshit of the 60s, like most of what Johnny Cash did was way more significant. And I wouldn't say significant, but it was way more authentic.
It was for sure significant.
It was a lot more authentic than a lot of the counterculture shit that happened in the 1960s. So Johnny Cash is huge and he is very popular, but he's still very underrated. I still feel he's very underrated in the grand scheme of things that were happening in the 50s and 60s. He was way better than Elvis Presley was in so many aspects. He was way better than Elvis was. It's just, unfortunately, Elvis had the sex appeal and he was able to shake his hips. That's really the big difference between the two of them. Like,
well, Elvis played rock music. Like Johnny Cash didn't play rock music.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Like Elvis, I mean that's it though. But that's a big it, right? Like Elvis played rock music, and that's big it.
But also, what Elvis was doing, Elvis was straight up ripping off Little Richard and other black artists that came out years before or a year before.
Fats Domino, Chuck Berry, that's all he did.
He literally ripped off everybody. Like at least Johnny Cash, he he didn't necessarily. I mean, he ripped off some people, but he was at least more authentic than Elvis Presley ever was.
I mean, Elvis just brought rock music to white people. That's what Elvis did,
which is very, very significant.
Fucking massive.
It is. Yeah, it is massive at the time. Absolutely. But this is very long-winded. My wrap-ups are never this long-winded. But
because you're trying real hard to like build suspense that you're not going to give this a 3. So
I mean, I don't do it often. Yeah, come on. But yeah, this is a perfect 3 out of 3. Fuck it. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. It's perfect 3 out of 3. Perfect 3 out of 3.
That's all you're doing. You're trying to pretend like you weren't going to give this a 3 when everybody knew you're going to give this a 3.
Because you can't not give this a perfect 3 out of 3.
Of course,
it's silly boy talk if you don't.
This transcends like music. This is I don't know. This is political science here. Like we teach class on this record.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe like a couple days.
That's a little much, but okay, I get what you're saying.
You probably teach like I would say a semester. You could do a semester on Johnny Cash and his influence
if you're really trying
science sphere.
If you're really trying, you could stretch it. Yeah.
Because like the dude actually went in front of actual politicians in a way that like popular musicians just didn't do. Mm-hmm. And he talked about things that like, dude, Native Americans, right? Like we still don't care about Native Americans here in this country. We still don't care about prisoners here in this country. He was talking about things that just nobody cared about. Nobody still cares about.
Yeah.
And he did it for like 40 years.
I know.
Remember when Flint, Michigan didn't have fucking clean water for like fucking
still
a year?
Still don't.
Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. What are we, like 12 years
Good
on? They
Lord.
still don't. But
God.
Anyway, so that's all we have. Thank you all for listening. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars. You're watching on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. Thank you all for listening, watching. Tell your friends, share all the posts, and that's it. That's all.
Little Missy.
Gosh.